the first venture capital ever in Palestine targeted for the benefit and investment in the technology sector. It is indeed a great day. First, welcome to investors from the United States, Europe, Israel, other places, countries around the world. Welcome to you all to Palestine. And certainly an expression of pride, I should say, in our vibrant, most dynamic, highly resilient, resourceful ITC sector. The men and women who have actually led the activity in this area to get the sector to grow in the most impressive way it has over the past years, particularly over the past few years, is a matter of high pride for all of us Palestinians. The importance of the sector is clear in terms of its capacity not only to generate growth, but sustainable growth. And this is an important way in which it is different from the most impressive performance, that is the real estate. Real estate in this economy and investment in it has driven the economy over the past few years, benefiting from other things, obviously. The role of the government, the fact that the government, enabled by generous assistance by the donor community, was able to invest in the economy, and with it came a lot of benefits, taking advantage of the fiscal stimulus that actually flowed from there. But obviously that is not sustainable. It will be with us for some time, but not to the extent it has been over the past 2 to 3 years. Whereas the ITC certainly holds a great deal of promise as a source of sustainable job creation, of which we really need quite a bit in the coming years, and not a day too soon, to be quite candid, because while unemployment in Palestine has been tending downwards over the past 3 to 4 years, but has been doing so ever so slowly, not uncommon to countries or economies with high unemployment, but quite frankly, where it is at, unemployment is still high in Palestine. We need to be able to generate jobs at a much faster pace than the economy has been able to generate over the past 3 to 4 years. First of all, to be able to absorb nearly 45,000 new entrants into the labor force every year, that is setting aside the formidable challenge of having to deal with the already high unemployment problem. The economy has been growing substantially over the past 3 to 4 years, albeit from a low base throughout, both in Gaza and the West Bank, but in Gaza more so in recent years, over the past year, specifically since last July of last year when things started to improve, but again from a very low base. The economy overall, both in Gaza and the West Bank, has benefited, as I said, from strong fiscal stimulus made possible by substantial assistance by our friends in the international community. I came to this distinguished gathering from a meeting with the donor community. With us here, some participants in that meeting. I see Mark Harvey, the mission director of USAID here. He was with us at that meeting. We are preparing for an upcoming important meeting for the donor community. It's going to be held in Brussels next week, next Wednesday of next week. It was an opportunity for us to actually take stock of developments on the path of getting ready for statehood, a project that we launched in August of 2009 with a view of getting ready for statehood, involving an effort in various fields of governance aimed at strengthening our institutions and ensuring that we have the adequate institutional setup for the state in the form of competent, strong and corruption-free institutions capable of delivering services to our people effectively, fairly and transparently. In addition, of course, to the effort made over the past few years in providing necessary infrastructure in the form of physical infrastructure, whether we're talking about basics like water, electricity, or social infrastructure like health and education. Throughout, in many, if not all of these areas, the Palestinian Authority's determined effort to do that which is required was enormously and generously supported by our friends in the international community. We're talking about something different here. We're talking about another important source of support of spontaneous kind, the support that we really ultimately are targeting. Palestine is going to be a state that's going to be viable in the sense of it being able to generate enough resources of its own to deal with the needs of our population. In the meantime, we had required substantial intervention in the form of official assistance to make it possible for us to bridge the gap and get from here to there. But a point that matters to the business community throughout the world, here and everywhere, is the extent to which they feel they are operating in an environment of fiscal sustainability. We are not there yet, but we have made substantial progress on the path to attaining fiscal sustainability. This year, actually, a few days ago, we passed our budget for 2011. And the budget for 2011 features the lowest deficit to GDP ratio since 2000. This is quite significant. Significant in the sense of it suggesting that we have overcome most, if not all, of the ill effects associated with many successive years of recessionary conditions and times actually outright recession. It's very important. There are a lot of other challenges that we have to deal with over the past few years, including, of course, the separation between Gaza and West Bank that started with violent takeover of power by Hamas in Gaza in mid-2007, something which clearly had adverse consequences on our finances in the form of basically eliminating the possibility for the PA to make any revenues out of Gaza at the time of continuing, of course, to have to shoulder our responsibilities toward our population in Gaza. Notwithstanding all of these difficulties and challenges, as I mentioned to you, the Palestinian Authority has made substantial progress on reducing its dependence on aid and need for it, particularly of the exceptional variety, meaning the kind of assistance that we need in order to help with current expenditure. This year, 2011, we are projecting a financing requirement of about $970 million compared to $1.8 billion only in 2008, not long ago. We are continuing on this path of fiscal consolidation, and I anticipate fully that by the end of 2013, we will be graduating from the need for this kind of exceptional support. So at least on this score, Palestine offers a good prospect. I thank the investors for having taken the bet on us to begin with, and after all, as I'm fond of saying, particularly at gatherings like this, it's sometimes good, well, most of the time good to be early. You get to take the first row. But in the process, you're taking risks, and I really appreciate that. Appreciate the fact that you are first to really come, wanting to invest willingly, when in fact you have other opportunities all over the world that may look on paper at least a bit more attractive. For that, please accept the gratitude of the Palestinian Authority and Palestinian people, because in addition to this being a profit opportunity, which we decidedly wanted to be, in order for you to do more, and in order for others to emulate you, there is, I detect, I sense, at least a bit of goodwill involved in having made the determination to come to Palestine, notwithstanding the fact that we are still, going through adversity. There are some elements, pointing in a positive direction, but there are a lot of other elements in the context in which we are operating, which our ICT and the rest of our private sector have operating, that is not so happy. A context that is extremely difficult, especially for the private sector. And the private sector, as everybody knows, does not thrive on uncertainty. It really seeks to, and we should do everything we possibly can to help attenuate that source of risk and reduce the risk. Nevertheless, this continues to be a fairly high risk environment, highly complex environment in which to operate. Here, of course, I'm talking in particular about the capricious control regime associated with the occupation that's been with us for nearly 44 years now, way too long. This is a great day for us, as I said, a historic day indeed, it marking the event it is marking and the opportunity it is, but also it is important in another sense, in terms of the timing of it. It coming and coinciding with this juncture, where we are really literally in the final phases of the implementation of our two-year program, which we launched in August of 2009, aimed at getting ready for statehood. We are literally in the home stretch to freedom. We Palestinians expect, inshallah, to be ready and to show up for that rendezvous with freedom. I expect us, come summer of this year, to be able to have been able to amass an adequate, a critical mass of positive change on the ground, consistent with the reality of the state of Palestine projecting itself in a manner that would make it very difficult, if not virtually impossible, for anyone to overlook it. That's really our hope. That was a key rationale underlying the program that we launched in 2009. It was really aimed at doing that which we all along felt was necessary. We want a state, all of us Palestinians want to be able to live as free people in a country of our own, like all peoples around the world. Then we had better get ready for it. And I said readiness we define as having institutions of adequate structural integrity and capacity to perform to acceptable standards. I'm very happy to tell you that in many areas of governance we're already there. We have to wait for the summer to see the results. In some important areas of governance, economic management in general, whether we talk about management of public finance or monetary authority or economic policy formulation and implementation generally, we're already there. We have institutions that measure up to fairly high standards, and not only regional standards, but indeed international standards. I know I mentioned this to our colleagues at the meeting. I just came from to you this afternoon. An example of this maturity to govern ourselves and to deliver to our people good governance and services adequately and competently. The example I'm most fond of citing is the progress that our Central Bureau of Statistics has made. Let me try this on you, because for the politicians around the table I came from, it was not too exciting. I hope it really is interesting enough for the business community at least. Our Central Bureau of Statistics is actually in the final stages of qualifying for membership, if you will, or quasi-membership, because we're not a country yet. We are not a member country of the IMF, but to qualify for the requirements of the higher of two tiers of data management and dissemination standards managed by the International Monetary Fund, so-called special data dissemination standards. Excitement? No excitement here. Let me tell you what this means, actually. First of all, it obviously means that we have a competent institution in the Central Bureau of Statistics. Not many people get too excited about statistics, but anyway, I'm one of the few. It is really most exciting to know that we have an institution, Pakistan, that has achieved this degree of progress in terms of capacity to deliver within its mandate, in terms of what it has to do, provision of timely and high quality data. But, doing that is one thing. That, of course, took a lot of effort. But doing that is one thing. Qualifying for the exacting standards of the special data dissemination standards is quite another. Because that does require a firm commitment to the provision of data on date certain, each month, each quarter, each year, on a number of indicators and variables. Data on which simply not manufactured by the Central Bureau of Statistics. It has to be generated by different arms, organs, agencies, ministries of the personal authority. The fact that we have in this institution, the Central Bureau of Statistics, the capacity to qualify for those high and exacting standards means that other institutions with PA have matured enough to be able to commit to this kind of delivery. This, in a summary form, really provides you with where we are on this path, path to freedom. So I feel fairly assured that we, in fact, are going to really be able to be there. Basic building blocks of well-functioning economic management system. And we're not talking only about, or even mainly about Ministry of Finance, but things like, for example, regulation of banks done by our monetary authority, future central bank, regulation of our capital